Halloween horror and heartbreak. In Seoul's popular nightlife district, nightmare scenes. The narrow alleys of Itaewon lined with lifeless bodies, many in costume. Frantic first responders trying to save them.
153 people were killed in a crowd of 100,000 Halloween party attendees in Seoul, South Korea over the weekend. This took place on Saturday night. The tragedy happened in Seoul's most popular Halloween destination known as Itaewon. It's known for its bars, restaurants, clubs, and it is a hotspot for expats as well. Now, not all the causes of death are clear at the moment, but dozens of the victims suffered from cardiac arrest, and it was because there was this crowd surge. People were trampling over one another. It seems as though the crowd started pushing from the back, and it was just absolutely devastating, especially when you look at the number of people who have already been declared dead as a result. Some people were dragged onto the floor or couldn't breathe in that packed crowd. The downward angle of that narrow alley also seems to have played a role in, crushing people during these Halloween celebrations. We've got another video with more details, so let's take a quick look at that.
This is the alleyway in which the vast majority of those young people lost their lives. There's a bit of a slope, and although there's no official reason given by the authorities as to what caused this crush, a lot of eyewitnesses are saying that there were so many people packed in on the slope that as soon as some people at the top fell over, it created a bit of a domino effect, and those people at the bottom unfortunately were caught under the weight of the bodies, and that's why we saw so many casualties.
Just absolutely devastating. Now, there were limitations on how many people could attend in previous years because of COVID. Since the pandemic, this has been the first year that they've lifted those capacity limitations. I don't know if that maybe played a role as well, but I get super nervous when I'm packed in a crowd. I remember maybe the last time I was in a big crowd was when I went to Coachella in 2014. But I remember thinking to myself, I'm not gonna go in deep like in this crowd, because once something leads to panic, you can't get out, and it's so easy to be trampled over. Anyway, I feel so terrible for the victims here.
Yeah, it's scary, and what a terrible, I can't even imagine what these people were feeling, and that's just a horrible way to lose your life. And I had a similar experience at a music festival. I remember going, really deep into the front, and then this feeling after it was over that oh, okay, I really have to wait patiently here for this thing to filter out, because there's no way to escape otherwise, right? And that was a lesson. I try not to do that. If I'm in anywhere where there is a huge crowd, I try to stand off to the side, because that stuff just gets so scary when people are just packed in next to each other. And hopefully, man, this will lead to some precautions taken whenever they do have these large gatherings, and put some safety protocols in so that folks don't get hurt like this again.
Exactly, and this is the reason why, when you go to an event, there are emergency exits. They ensure that there's an emergency pathway for people to walk through if they need to get out of the situation. Witnesses said that the streets were so densely clogged with people and slow-moving vehicles that it was practically impossible for emergency workers and ambulances to swiftly reach the alley near Hamilton Hotel, which is a major party spot in Seoul. And one other person, an official at a nonprofit organization that promotes tourism in the area, her name is Kim Mi-sung, said she performed CPR on 10 people who were unconscious. Most of them were women wearing witch outfits and other Halloween costumes. 9 of them were declared dead on the spot. And women are overrepresented in the number of victims here. I'm not sure why that is, but it does seem that young women, most of the victims were young women. So as of Sunday evening, officials said 153 people were killed and 133 additional individuals were injured. Nearly 2/3 of those killed, 97, were women. More than 80% of the dead were in their 20s and 30s, and at least 4 were teenagers. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety said the death count could further rise as 37 of the injured people were in serious condition. So it's Halloween today. Regardless of what you're doing, just stay safe, have your head on a swivel, and just pay close attention, be observant, keep your head straight and don't look down at your phone as you're like crossing the street or doing stuff like that. Just be aware of your surroundings, and if there's any potential danger, just find ways to protect yourself in case something goes wrong. I feel terrible for these people. Hopefully there's better planning moving forward, because if you're gonna host or if you're gonna have these celebrations and there's gonna be this insanely large crowd showing up in a narrow alley, you gotta have emergency exits and an emergency pathway planned that you keep clear so people can, freely move about the area without getting trampled like this. But it's a sad story. I just wanted to, share our thoughts and, everything with the victims and their family members in Korea.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.